Can you feel the love? It's Valentine's season on the Cambridge campus, but isn't it always? God's love overflows at CCS, and our school is blessed to be known by the love people experience during their time in Lancerville. A prime example of someone that loves God and loves people is our guest today, upper school principal Dr. Austin Temperley. If by any chance you've not met Dr. T, he's the one you may find singing at the top of his lungs while directing traffic at Carline, moving from table to table, interacting with students every day at lunch, or screaming out the fight song at pep rallies. This man does not lack for energy. What is his deal? How did he end up here? Why all the enthusiasm? Join us today to hear from a dynamic leader on the Cambridge campus, Dr. Austin Temperley. Cambridge Christian School is an independent private Christian school in Tampa, Florida for students 1-year-old through 12th grade that partners with families and the local church to provide a kingdom education, thereby preparing students for college and life. Dr. Temperley, thank you for joining us today, and happy birthday.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Yes, what an honor to have you on your birthday. I understand it's been an exciting day on campus already for you before joining us.
Absolutely. The best part today, one of our students came up to me and said, "Hey, Dr. Temperley, happy birthday." And I said, "Hey, thanks. I appreciate that." And he says, "No, we hug at Cambridge Christian School." So he came up to me and gave me a big hug. So I definitely felt special starting the day.
Another reflection on what I was talking about and how relational this man is. So I think back to the height of COVID, kind of a downer to begin our conversation, but I needed to hire an upper school principal. People weren't even flying at the time, and you were in Arizona across the country. How did you end up here in Tampa?
Totally God's providence. We were in Arizona, as you mentioned. I was serving as a lower school principal in a public school. Our kids were getting ready to start high school. Jack was going to be a freshman, and for us it was, hey, we're looking for something different. We had spent time in Christian education last 6 years when we were in Arizona in public education, and just knew we wanted to be back in Christian education. And so we were looking online for some job opportunities and saw Cambridge Christian School. I was like, there's no way they'll consider me, from Arizona, this elite school. There's no way that Cambridge would even have an opening at this point. But they did. And I reached out to Mr. Minks in an email, and I guess the rest is history from there. We did some interviews, and we even came to Cambridge without, as you mentioned, not flying. So we came out to Cambridge without ever even having stepped foot on campus or seeing the campus. And I don't regret it one bit.
Sight unseen.
Sight unseen.
That was very much part of our strategy.
Absolutely.
To get you on board before you step foot on campus. But
that's right.
We're glad you don't have any regrets, and we certainly don't. Where have you served previously?
Yeah, so I went to school in Iowa, in the Midwest, at University of Northern Iowa. And after college, I went to Lakeland Christian School. So I did spend my first 5 years in Christian education at a sister Christian school, taught history, coached golf, and middle school basketball.
Nice.
Which was great. And then I knew I wanted to get into administration. And so I got my master's from USF and moved up to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, served at a Christian school there for a few years. We ended up moving back to Iowa, where we're from, for a couple of years. I served as a principal of a high school there, and then we moved out to Arizona, as I mentioned previously, looking at some public school opportunities. And so, I'm thankful to say that I've got, 14 years in Christian school education, 6 years in public school education, everything from a lower school principal, middle school teacher, high school teacher, middle school and high school principal. So when God, brought us to Tampa, or back to Florida, it was seamless. It was awesome. It was wonderful, and it's been home ever since.
Christian school roots in Lakeland, and all of those things you mentioned that you list definitely jump off the resume. When you were a candidate to come here, there's such an incredible, diverse background, set of experiences that is pretty rare, as you know from looking at resumes yourself.
Mm-hmm.
As a high school student, I know you didn't have your sights set on one day becoming an administrator at a Christian school. Neither did I. So what's the backstory? How did Christ call you to himself and ultimately to Christian school education?
Yeah, if you knew me in high school, you wouldn't want to have anything to do with me. You wouldn't have wanted to know me.
I find that hard to believe.
I know it's crazy. All of my energies were into worldly living, things of the world. I had wanted nothing to do with Christ. I grew up in the church, but it meant nothing to me. And then before my senior year of high school, Christ got a hold of my heart and changed me from the inside out. And so, my senior year was filled with Bible studies and just spiritual growth, youth group, church, and excitement and a passion. So when most people were going off to college to kind of be freed from their parents and liberated and kind of do their own thing, I was running the opposite direction. I was running to the Lord, getting connected, getting plugged in. And so he changed my heart before my senior year of high school. And I've been walking, with him ever since. I met my wife when I was in college at a youth group that we had in college and at church, and the rest is history, as they say there. But I knew I wanted to be in education. I always wanted to be in education. My mom was a teacher, elementary art teacher. My dad was an engineer. Education kind of ran in my family. Doing your best in school, even though I didn't want to have anything to do with school, I was still good at it. And so it wasn't until my senior year of high school, my AP economics teacher and government teacher really caused me to say, yes, this is exactly what I want to do. Most people love to run from their government economics classes. Yes. I loved it immensely. He connected well. He served in local politics, ran for local politics. He made it come alive. He made it real. And that I knew then that for sure I was going to go into not only teaching, but I was going to go into social science education. And so my degree was 3 minors of psychology, government, and economics. And so I was able to use that when I first graduated from college, and have been able to teach some AP classes along the way, and government economics, world history, U.S. history, Bible classes. So I've taught a little bit of it all. So I had no intentions of being in private education, Christian education, none whatsoever. I mean, in the Midwest in Iowa, everybody, went to the public schools for the most part. And when you went to teacher ed programs, you were prepared for public education.
That's
so
right.
I didn't even consider it. But after having student taught, the opportunity afforded itself to go to Lakeland Christian School. And I'm glad they took a chance on a young kid right out of college, and absolutely fell in love with Christian education.
So are we. We were very glad. Yeah, I lived that Midwest life, as you know. We're Big Ten people here, and I grew up in Wisconsin. It was the same thing. It's not like the South, and Florida isn't really the South necessarily, but the South and Florida seem to have Christian schools all over the place. There are more up in the Midwest than there used to be, but it's still nothing like down here, and so all preparation. Same with me, when I finally got on an education track, it was all about public school. I went to Christian college, and the preparation was to be a teacher in public
schools.
Right. Never dreamed of Christian schools until I got a call from a Christian school in Florida.
And that's part of the truth for most educators, and that's part of the joy, right? Is taking everybody. When you interview candidates, I love going through interviews. I love talking with our staff because everybody wants this biblical integration. Everybody wants to be able to do it, but when you come from a public school background, sometimes you're like, well, I don't know what I can say in the classroom. I don't know what I should say. I don't know what I can do. And we're like, no, you have full permission. In fact, we desire you. That's what we want. We want you to be excellent at what you do, but we want it to come from a biblical worldview perspective in everything that you do. So we're, success to us doesn't just mean you go and become a lawyer and a doctor and you forget about things of Christ. For us, it's you become a lawyer and a doctor and a teacher, whatever God calls you, but you do that serving Him faithfully, wholeheartedly. That's what success really looks like for us.
That is your full-time ministry.
Amen.
Absolutely. Great. Well, so you have served, as you already discussed, you've served in a variety of educational settings. So from your perspective, even among Christian schools, I guess, what sets Cambridge apart? Why is it special?
Yeah. I call it the Habana Haven. I have since I got here. I absolutely love it, being on Habana and where we're at. And it is a haven. It is a respite. It is shalom when you're on campus. But really, it has to do with relationships. And every Christian school touts relationships. And I've served in, this is my 4th Christian school that I've served in. And relationships are everything. It's that family feel. It's that connection. It's that being able to get involved. We just had a prospective teacher on campus the other day, and Coach Lehman and I were able to talk about just how different homecoming is when we do homecoming, and how involved the student body is. And folks after folks that I talked to are like, my high school was nothing like that. We didn't do anything like that. And that's who we are. And it's the most energizing week of the year, if you ask me. I love homecoming. I think it's fantastic. I think the student participation, the student leadership, that's involved. But not only that, but the missions trips and the trips that our students get to be a part of. Our 8th graders just left at 5:00 this morning. Right. They met at the airport, wheels up at 7 a.m. to Washington, D.C.
Did they arrive? We have confirmation.
They did.
Okay.
I've been in contact with the leader, so at least the leaders made it. So that's
okay.
so that's good. But those types of trips, right? Our 9th graders start their experience with a trip to the Keys, and so they get an opportunity to snorkel in the reefs, and just our juniors with the missions trip that they have, our seniors that have the opportunity for their senior trip, and the retreats that our students do. It is a relational family feel, and it is all about wanting to see our students know and love Jesus Christ, as they leave Cambridge. And it's a sad day when they walk across that stage. It's a boo-hoo day. We're thankful for them and we're grateful, but it's a sad day because we know just all that's been poured into them, and we just trust that, God's got them, on target and on mission to do His will. So it's such a joy, being at Cambridge. It's different. It is.
Couldn't agree more. You're in a fun stage of life with all your kids in school, the place you're going to every day. I remember what that was like. I miss it terribly as my youngest graduated in 2020. But you're still in the thick of it. So tell us about your family.
Yeah. So my beautiful wife, Sarah, we've been married for 20 years. She's got a music education degree, and she's using that now. She's able to do that, teach some piano lessons and voice lessons and do some elementary music. My son, Jack, is a senior at the school. He started in 9th grade. All 4 years, he's played 3 sports. He's been involved in the band. He's been involved in the choir at times. So fine arts, athletics, academics are important to him. Lydia, my sophomore daughter, she's still involved with band, and she's been involved with choir. Loves all things fine arts. Loves Mrs. Vath. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And so she's got a decent role in the musical Fiddler on the Roof. So she's excited to be Yenta, the matchmaker. So she's working hard on that right now.
Hard not to go right into the song, but
I know.
Go ahead.
I know, exactly. It's all running through our minds. And then I've got 2 8th grade girls, Holly and Bethany, and they've all been involved with sports, fine arts as well. And so, the thing about Cambridge is, it's encompassing in a good way. I love the fact that my family has a place where we can go and we know our kids are provided for. We know they're taken care of. We know the teachers love them. We know that their classmates want the best for them. And we know that we made the right choice, for our family. So, I'm so proud of my kids. I could not be more happy and more proud for them and the direction that God has for them. But what I love about Cambridge is just opportunities to get involved. And, your Cambridge experience is going to be based on what you get involved with. If you want to just be a student at Cambridge, that's fantastic. You're going to get a high quality college prep education that, with biblically integrated throughout every academic subject.
And you're going to be loved.
And you're going to be loved. Absolutely. Yeah. But when you get involved with fine arts, with athletics, outside of it, it just takes it to a whole new level. And I'm so thankful and grateful for the opportunities my kids have had.
Awesome. So you might have heard just a minute ago a female voice on the microphone, and just so no one's alarmed by that, she has returned for this broadcast. She wasn't able to make it to the last one, or just made a choice not to come. I don't recall what it was.
My gosh.
But Mrs. Premer is joining us again, and I thought, Mrs. Premer, I don't know if you have anything you'd like to offer today, but at the very least, maybe you could, not yet, but
darn it.
Maybe we should have some applause for happy birthday for Dr. Temperley.
Yes.
Keep it going.
And I just wanted to say one thing, because you mentioned about your kids being in sports and being in fine arts. And for some people listening who maybe have little ones, because we have parents that listen from all age groups, I think it's really important for them to know that kids here do everything like that. That's very unusual from what I hear from other, parents, is that you can be in sports and you can be top in sports, but you can also be the lead in a musical. And you can also there is no kind of click where, you can't do both. Yeah. It really is accepted and encouraged even by the students themselves to kind of be in everything.
Yeah. I was just talking to Coach Butler, Mr. Butler, athletic director, earlier this week, and my son was thinking about also being involved in the musical while also doing baseball. And he said, we'll make it work. Of course we'll make it work. Yeah. That's what we do at Cambridge. Yeah. And, last year was really fantastic. West Side Story was our musical, and we had, I think it was 8 senior boys who had never participated in the musical or the play before, but their senior year, they're all playing sports. They're all coming off of their, basketball season, soccer season, track and field, or baseball, whatever. But 8 of our senior boys got into the West Side Story
That's
that hadn't
awesome.
done it before, learned the choreography. We're all up there for the musical. I mean, that was a sweet moment to be able to see those boys, involved in participating and really just having the time of their life, before they graduated from high school. What a great opportunity. And really many that I talk to, they say, I wish I would have gotten involved even earlier,
The
and that's
skills
the
you
truth.
develop on stage is
It's
lifetime.
something that
Yep.
is so unique about our school. As long as I've been here and way before I got here, it's been this way.
Yep.
Where you have giant football players up there dancing in the musical.
Yep.
That didn't happen in my high school.
no,
I don't know
mine
about
either.
yours, but that would not have been accepted even in the culture
Right.
there. For starters, with the student body, just wouldn't have been accepted by the student body. And it's promoted here.
Yeah, and I try to get to every single fine arts event that I can possibly get to. I try to get to as many athletic events with 4 kids, and usually all 4 of them involved with sports. It's hard to get to everything, but I'll tell you, going to the coffee house, going to all of the concerts in the fall, the Christmas concert, the spring concert, the band concerts, I'm not going to miss them if I can be there. I'm there. I absolutely love going. The excellence that's in those performances, the students that are involved, and the teachers, that are leading those. It's just absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah.
I love going. I love being there, and I don't miss it.
Yeah, it's gonna on the podcast. It's just gonna sound like an ad for the school, but we're really
It's
just
all right.
that's
true,
a dad. That's a
though.
daddy
That's
talking.
true.
So
Yes.
I know that active involvement in the local church is important to you. What has been your role in the local church historically, and what's your role now, and why does it matter?
Yeah, so we go to Oakwood Community Church. I'm an elder at the church, and I serve with the youth, have served for the last 3.5 years. In previous churches, I've actually been a pastor of a small church when we were out in Arizona. I served as a local pastor for 3 years, doing a lot of the teaching and counseling ministry there. I've been a deacon in a church. If there's involvement in the church, I'm getting involved, right?
Why?
Because it's a mandate from Scripture, right? Paul told us in Romans that we all have a body part. We're all a body part of the church, if you will. Not everybody's the eye, not everybody's the nose, not everybody's the hands, but we all serve and function as one body, unified in Christ. And then the author of Hebrews tells us that we should not neglect meeting together, but we should spur one another on while we do so. And so gathering together energizes me. And I know not everybody gets energized around people like I do, but we all have to at least be able to say that we can be energized and unified by the body of Christ. And when the body of Christ is working together, coming together, there is that unity. And so I don't know, it's in my DNA. I can't not get involved. Everywhere I go, I have to get involved. But that's just the way that God has wired me specifically. But I know that the unity that comes from the body of Christ, the friendships that are there, the relationships that are forged, and just growing in our understanding of who God is why it's incredibly important for me. I love serving as an elder in my current setting at the local church where I'm at, because I love the spiritual matters of the church. I like to be involved. I like to prayerfully consider options, and I like to be a part of that. And so I love to support my local pastor. I mean, Pastor Darren is a great guy, and I love being able to support him in the ministry, and just because I know having served as a pastor for a few years that it can be lonely. And we were just a small church, but I know it can be lonely, and so I want to be an encouragement. It's just an outpouring of what God has done for me and how He has rescued me and saved me. I want to be able to give back and serve, and so I think the local church is absolutely the place, to be serving and leading.
Dr. Temperley, if you haven't picked this up yet, is a prime example of a servant leader, which is the brand of leadership we really try to promote on our campus with the students as well. So shifting back to school, how do you, our mission statement talks about excellence in all of our areas of operation. Just honing in on academics for a minute, how do you measure excellence in academics in our upper school at Cambridge?
Yeah, absolutely. As I was thinking about this, it all starts with the people that you have around you. It really does. When we have the opportunity to hire folks, we're looking for high quality caliber leaders that love to pour in and invest in the lives of our students. And so when you see staff that are coming and requesting, hey, do you think we could offer this class, at Cambridge? And again, we can't say yes to everything, but when you have staff that are encouraged and excited to say, hey, what about speech and debate? What about AP pre-calculus? What about these classes? And what about dual enrollment? Hey, I'm certified in this. What do you think about these opportunities? When you have students coming and saying, hey, what do you think about these opportunities that we can, have for our student body? You're in a place that's promoting excellence. And so obviously, the standard things that you do, you share expectations, you set expectations, you evaluate well for your staff, and you get into the classroom and you look at what teachers are doing. But what I really like too is a lot of our teachers will invite, Mr. Pruitt and myself, our upper school assistant principal, we'll get invited into teachers' classrooms, and why do we get invited in the classroom? Because they want us to see what's going on in the classroom. Right. They want to broadcast that. And so, I love that aspect of being able to empower my teachers so that they know that, hey, you guys are free to grow. You're free to try things in the classroom. And so, we set those expectations, but we also, we have our department heads and we have our PLCs, we have our professional learning communities, we have our professional development, and we work together. To make it better. And so obviously the proof is in the pudding, right? The proof is in our graduates. The proof is in our SAT scores, ACT scores, and all of that. But, you can't measure the heart of the teacher through those types of things. But at Cambridge Christian School, the heart of the teacher is for the success of the student, both academically and spiritually.
The fact that teachers invite you in is also indicative. It's a reflection of the trust that you've built there with them. Yeah. That also does not happen at every school, for sure.
Right.
Now, where have you seen the greatest improvements in the academic programs and in the upper school during your time here?
Yeah, we've added a number of AP courses. Like I mentioned, AP Pre-Calculus, AP Bio. We've brought back AP Government, AP Economics, AP Seminar, AP Research. And so we brought those classes in. We brought in the dual enrollment world languages class, so students are able to get automatic college credit. Just so thankful and proud of Mrs. Shiver and the guidance department, even being able to bring in, Mrs. Schlauch to assist in guidance, and now being, full-time next year, just be able to ramp that up as well, because all of those pieces work together. I mean, the upper school is a whole unit that works together for bringing that excellence. And really, really grateful for STEM opportunities that we've been able to bring in and improve upon that. Our middle school robotics program is absolutely phenomenal. We're thankful for Mr. Metzger for his years of developing that program in the last couple of years, and Mrs. Auditoro bringing her in, being able to lead some of our high school STEM program, into the next level. So we're excited about those opportunities. There's a lot of great things that are coming. There's more coming that I won't share now, but there's some great things there's amazing things that are happening on campus.
Yeah, and it's including more help. Dr. Renee Kennedy has been named our middle school principal beginning this summer, and she'll also be an upcoming guest on the podcast, even though I haven't told her that yet or made the request.
She'll hear it now.
Yeah. Well, why is now the right time for that addition, and why is she the right person?
Yeah. Well, now is the right time just because of the incredible growth that's happening at Cambridge Christian School. We are growing. We're just about to open our new high school building, which we're incredibly thankful for. So in the fall, we'll be moving over to the other side of campus. Excited for that. Our middle school will kind of stay where they're at, and so with that divide and that separation, if you will, of distance, it is the right time. Our middle school continues to grow as well, and that's really been an area that's needed to be developed over the last, 5 or 10 years. We know that our middle school students, need more care and attention than can be provided currently. And so having a dedicated middle school principal will be absolutely phenomenal for those students and those families. Really, it's the partnership with the families as well, and they'll be well taken care of, which, leads to Dr. Kennedy. Why Dr. Kennedy? Dr. Kennedy's only been at Cambridge for a year, but her impact has been phenomenal. Just her gentleness, her desire to give all things over to the Lord, her desire to pray through decisions, her unique ability to bring academic excellence into the classroom, creative ways of teaching in the classroom. Students are never bored in their class. I mean, they're always working. They're always being challenged. They're always, growing in her class. And so she's an ideal communicator. She's an ideal human being. She's a wonderful woman of faith. And so she is going to, help make that transition from lower school to high school and in between, you know, a gentle experience for those families. She is a dynamo. And I know that all of the 7th grade families that have her right now, which are all of our 7th grade families, they would say the exact same thing. I'm one of those families, and I can just attest to how great she is. And so as we were, you know, interviewing and looking at a candidate, we had great internal candidates, and Dr. Kennedy just rose to the top.
Yeah. Yeah, I look forward to that. At my former school, I was able to add a middle school principal, and it immediately makes a difference because, they're helping in the transition, but they're also going, hey, this isn't just transition. This is something unique, and we know, looking back on our own middle school years, I don't know if there's a more unique time. A lot of hills and valleys, right? A lot of valleys. Yeah. I would emphasize that, but to have someone that's honing in and specifically focusing on that and saying, no, these are 2 years we're going to capitalize on. We're going to really dial in here and make the most of this time. It's a unique developmental stage, and we're going to treat it as such.
Absolutely,
it's going to be great for the school.
Yeah. So, well, when you all meet Dr. Kennedy on the podcast, they'll fall in love with Dr. Kennedy as well.
Well, describe a couple of your greatest victories at Cambridge thus far.
Yeah, I mean, I really, I'm grateful for the all of the new programs and classes that we've been able to add at Cambridge, bringing in a high school STEM director, being able to, just bring in the classes that I mentioned previously. Great success at Cambridge. I think, Mr. Moore stepping into the Bible department, our Bible department is absolutely fantastic. They want the students to love Jesus. They want them to love their teacher. And, that's a great combination. Scott Moore has done a phenomenal job. I know Scott was on the podcast earlier, and you can hear his heart and his passion, his desire, for the students to know Jesus Christ. I mean, he is a man who has a shepherd's heart. He has a youth pastor heart, really. Yes. And so, that trickles down. And that's the thing. It trickles down into the entire high school and to the entire middle school as well, because it's not just, it can get very cumbersome at times. You can think, oh, I'm just teaching a subject. I'm just teaching this kid. I don't see the end product. But Mr. Moore keeps it front and center about what the purpose is and why we're doing what we're doing. And so, that's really encouraging. And as I mentioned before, even, in the guidance department, that's been a great victory as well. I take no credit for, Student Leadership Institute, which I'm sure you'll talk about on the podcast at some point as well. But what I love through that is we've had students who have identified projects and needs and ideas. And even this year, one of our students who came up with a Loft 181 project, working with One More Child, and just the opportunity to reach out to, foster children or human trafficking type stuff, and make that awareness in our campus and get people behind helping these victims out, helping these people out. I love the fact that our student body is so creative, and God has made us creative, right? I mean, God is the great creator. We're made in his image. And so therefore that would imply that we are creative as well. And our students just exemplify that creativity. And so it is a team effort, but I'm incredibly proud of our team, and those are great victories, just that unity that comes through all of that. It's an exciting place to be.
How about your biggest challenges?
Yeah,
either thus far or what might be coming.
Well, I think the biggest challenge was really COVID. Coming in with new administration, right? New upper school principal, new assistant principal coming in. That's a challenge, right? And then I don't even get to see their faces right away, because then we're making decisions. Hey, is everybody going to be on campus? Are they not going to be on campus? Are we going to wear masks? Are we not going to wear masks? And so a lot of that, anytime there's transition in leadership, you have trust that you have to build. And that's hard to build in the student body when they can't see you, they don't know you. Yeah,
don't
know who you are.
Faceless. Building a trust with faceless people.
And so you're trying to do that with students, but you're also trying to do that with your staff as well. And I am, the tide is turning. It is absolutely a phenomenal place. We are moving forward, united, and really my aim is to empower the teachers to be leaders. I kind of want to work myself out of a job, not really, but I want it to be that way, where people are so excited to step up and take leadership roles and see a need and meet a need that that we're functioning that way. And so we're getting there, and that's what I love about the team.
Yeah, that's a great segue to talk about culture. Some folks that haven't spent any time in Christian schools assume we operate in somewhat of a bubble, that we and our staff and students are isolated from the problems and distractions of the world. And we know better, as does anyone that has spent time in Christian schools. We are a prime target of the enemy, as he hates what God is doing on our campus. But still the culture at Cambridge is remarkably strong. So what indicators do you see of that strong culture? You've already mentioned a lot of them, but what are the keys to building a strong culture in an upper school environment?
Yeah, as I mentioned just a moment ago, I think empowering your staff to lead is a huge piece to that. And we mentioned earlier too, servant leadership or transformational leadership. Really, I mean, I humbly come before my team. I never claim to be the smartest person in the room because I think the best decisions are collaborative. And so I try to include as many staff members and decisions and students when we can in decisions that we make, because I'm not the smartest person in the room, and if I am, the organization isn't going to be growing. So I want to continue to surround myself. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and really what I want for Cambridge is I don't want a learned staff. I want a learning staff. Because I don't want us to think we've arrived and achieved everything that we need to do. We need to grow. We need to continue to meet the needs of the 21st century learner, and partner with families in that respect. But I also think building culture comes with listening. Just being visible, being present. As you mentioned, I try to be outside at lunch as often as I can. I try to be out in passing periods. I try to dip into classrooms as much as I can, because I want to know what's going on. I love to communicate the good things about Cambridge Christian School, and then just listening and having conversations with the staff. And, one of the biggest joys is really just talking with parents, whether it's new families in the surveys that we do each year, or the surveys that we conduct throughout the year, or whether it's just talking to parents about what their experience is at Cambridge, or new families that are looking at Cambridge. Hey, how did you hear about Cambridge Christian School? Oh, so it's such and such a family's here. Yep. And I love, hear their kids love it here. They're having such a wonderful experience. I mean, that's been my experience at Cambridge. And so I know the culture is very strong, and that, families have, sometimes it's great, sometimes there's issues, but the part about family is it's family. It's unity. It's unified together. So absolutely, the culture is wonderful at Cambridge. I'll tell you this much: I would not have my kids, at a school that I didn't trust the culture and didn't trust the leadership. And so appreciate you, Sean. I mean, just appreciate that. But the culture is very strong at Cambridge, and we love it. We are very satisfied parents at the school.
I just want to say something really quick. One of the biggest, I think, indications of a strong, healthy culture too is when the students themselves protect the culture.
Yeah.
By being not just leaders themselves, but just looking out for it in that way. And that's a great thing to see. Yeah. And, that comes, it's cyclical depending on the class and everything. But I think with consistent leadership and everything that you're doing, that's a big part of it, is that you're developing students that get it, get what we're trying to do, and then they love it so much they protect it. And then they kind of become the leaders themselves and do a lot of the job for you.
Absolutely.
Right?
We've seen that really strengthen in recent years.
Yeah.
Students see something they know isn't right, they hold other students accountable.
Yeah.
The hard way sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and just that idea of building the culture too, we didn't mention it yet, but I think it's 85% of our student body, 6th or 7th grade through 12th grade, are involved with athletics. A strong percentage, probably over half of our students are involved with fine arts in some capacity when they don't have to be, they choose to be involved in fine arts. And then, with the Student Leadership Institute or even that, or student council, we're talking over 40% of our high school is involved, in some leadership capacity as well. And all of that leadership capacity and development comes from a biblical point of view. So you're right.
Awesome. So if an alum of Cambridge Christian School decided to write you a letter of appreciation, what would you most want to read in that letter?
Well, first I want to know how they're doing, because, we love to hear, how they're doing. Were they prepared, right? And so actually had a student alum come back over Christmas break and was saying, oh, my political science class, it's absolutely phenomenal because of the preparation that I had. Like, it's a philosophy political science class, but what we did in class prepared me incredibly well for that. So I'm like, yes,
perfect.
This is a win. I did talk to a couple of alumni at our regional soccer game down in Fort Myers. I had some students at Florida Gulf Coast University. One of them in person at the game, and so we had a great conversation about how she's doing. Things are going really well. And then she FaceTimed in a couple other alumni who just got done with a a Bible study at church and we're heading back home, which is why they weren't at the game, because I was berating them about not being at the game. But but you see and you hear the heart of how God's working on. So I want to see, how are you doing? I'm going to ask them the questions like, hey, what's God doing in your life right now? Have you found a local church to get plugged into? Because I know, from Mr. Callahan last year to Mr. Moore this year, we do the senior exit interviews and we ask the students, hey, how are you plugged into church? How you doing? How's, how you walking in your faith? Cause we try to get very real with them. They're going out into the mission field, and some of them, we want all of them to get connected and plugged into church, because that's where that unity comes. That's where that growth comes and whatnot. So, I love hearing from alumni, and when they stop by, I try to make at least 5-10 minutes to chat and touch base and see how they're doing. So these are common occurrences, and I'm grateful and thankful for them. Yeah,
good stuff. So let's see, we have a lot going on in Lancerville, as you know, on a daily basis. But next year, we'll move the high school into a brand new building. Yeah. And when you think about the upper school at Cambridge, 5 years from now, what do you see?
Yeah. The one thing we have to see is a continuation of the culture that's been built at Cambridge. Yeah. We cannot move the high school over to the other side of campus and keep middle school where they're at and not build a culture of unity in Christ, of excellence in what we do. So we have to do that. Second, I see a high school with another 100 or 200 students in there, and yeah, numbers are great. We want numbers. Numbers are always important, but the real impact is the kingdom education impact that we get to partner with more families in the Tampa area. And I do believe that success breeds success, and so as we continue to grow, as we do things the right way. We know that, having Ed on the podcast, we know that it's been a while since we've had a new building, a new facility on campus. So we know that it's not facilities that attract people to Cambridge Christian School necessarily. However, we want to use our facilities to magnify and exalt and glorify his name. And so I definitely see a culture of continuing to grow and impacting more families in the region. I do see, even in the upper school, just in general, I see more middle school fine arts opportunities. Stay tuned for really what that looks like. But even in the upcoming year, I do see some changes and some great opportunities in middle school fine arts. I see more STEM opportunities for our students, even more AP classes, dual enrollment classes for our students. But what will not waver is our mission and our purpose and our core values, focused on Christ. I know mission drift happens, at times as you grow, as you get bigger, it makes it difficult. I've been through, some of that in other settings, and I do not want that. I'm praying against that, and I'm praying for the Lord to have His way to continue to bring that unity.
We ask everyone listening to join us in that prayer.
Yes. Please,
for sure.
Please do.
Final question: what gives? This is obviously, you are a man that is full of the joy of the Lord. It is clear all the time, and I count it a blessing to know you. Honestly, no, I'm not saying it for the podcast. I count it a blessing, and I'm encouraged by you on a daily basis. But what gives you the greatest joy while serving as upper school principal at Cambridge?
Yeah, I remember about 15 years ago, I was accused of being a Pollyanna. And I was like, what? A Pollyanna? Are you, I must not be. Either I am constantly all the time a Pollyanna, or it's just who I am. And it's who I am. God has made me a joy-filled person. And it wasn't me, that's for sure. It's completely 100% Him. But what really gives me joy is every day seeing the students, seeing the staff, seeing the families in Carline. I get energized by people. I love to hear their stories. I love to spend some time, getting to know our students and interacting with them. And when the opportunity presents itself, I love to have, spiritual conversations with our students. Even today, right? So we do advisory on Thursdays. Wednesdays are chapel, Thursdays advisory. Yesterday we had Scott and Christy Moore, two of our faculty, our Bible head and middle school science teacher. They led a chapel presentation on relationships. So today we met in our advisory small groups and we had a conversation on relationships, and no greater joy. I've been looking forward to that. I was looking more to that than this, I'll be honest with you. But I looked forward to having those 15 or 18 boys in the room and have the opportunity to talk real life with those boys about what it means to prepare your heart for marriage? What does it look like for your spouse? How do you want to prepare, for that day? What did you get out of the message yesterday? And then to be able to share part of my story with them. I don't want to hide my story from our teens. I want them to know that, look, there are people that have gone through some of these things. If you ever have any questions, we're here for you.
Right.
But it's not from the angle of, I'm going to tell you what to do. It's, hey, how are you doing? What can I do? What do you need? What can I do? How can I serve you in that capacity? So I thoroughly get energized every day knowing that it's a kingdom education approach, Christ-centered school where we have the opportunity to invest and pour in the lives of our students. I don't have an arm strapped behind my back and what I can say to the kids. I'm with both hands wide open. Hey, how can I serve you? Every day. I cannot, even on my birthday, there's no place I'd rather be than at Cambridge Christian School, even on my birthday.
It shows.
Yeah, it's true.
It does.
Thank you for doing this today,
pleasure.
making time for us on your birthday, no less, and for leading our staff, faculty and staff the way you do every day on our campus. And you continue to be a blessing to all of those around you.
Thanks. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. The vision at Cambridge Christian School is to develop students into fearless defenders of the faith in partnership with their parents and the Bible-believing church community so that generations will know and serve God and recognize the truth and authority of the Bible. Go Lancers!